and let this guy pass ahead. Everybody quite happy with that? Yeah? Now, if we take it the other way round, and we turn around and see the vessel crossing from port to starboard, now, the same thing applies. There's no magenta lines painted on the sea down there. Alright, so all you are referring to is the chart, and you would take a series of compass bearings as normal to first ascertain risk of collision. And in every case, you must ascertain risk of collision. In this particular case, you can expect him to say, bearing steady, range closing. The same rule applies to power-driven vessels crossing. The one that has the other on its starboard side shall keep out of the way. Now, he's not going to fly over the top of you. He's not going to go underneath you. He's got a choice of doing that, or reducing his speed and letting you through, or increasing speed. Now, if he's a ferry, he could very well increase his speed and get across ahead of you before you are anywhere near him. Alright? But with a conventional type Class 7 cargo vessel, you would expect him probably to alter. Now, the problem comes for you guys if you're on the tanker here and you're a little bit uncomfortable with this guy, he doesn't seem to be moving. As soon as you start to get uncomfortable, the same rules apply. Alright? 5 or more short and rapid, and up goes Yankee Golf. You appear to be contravening a traffic separation scheme. And once he sees that, you would expect him to respond to your 5 or more short and rapid and sound 1 short blast, alter course to starboard, and pass round your stern. Alright? Now, if there is an emergency, you clearly are not in the business of altering course to port for a power-driven vessel on your own port side. You go to port for this and you've got real problems. The exam is immediately over and you are out through the door. The answer around this one, if he's a Chinaman, or worse, he's done his ticket at South Shields and he's still coming, alright? If he's still coming, you've got no choice. 5 or more short and rapid, he's not taking any notice, you need to alter away outside the lane. If you do, you must ascertain, chart assessment, make sure you've got the water to be getting out there to do it. You quite happy, you three? Yeah? Let's look at another scenario. Now, let's take the French fisherman. Don't forget, a French fisherman would do something like this. An English fisherman never, alright? But typical French fisherman, French trawlerman, up goes Yankee Golf, 5 or more short and rapid. Bear in mind, this guy is on a steady bearing, range closing, French fisherman. He is legal there, and if he's on a steady bearing, range closing, he's now illegal as he noses out of the central reservation. Now, you need to be particularly careful. Is he outside the central reservation? And is he on a steady bearing, range closing? If he is, he's breaking Rule 10. Just because he's breaking Rule 10 does not give you the right to kill him. Alright? Now, he's breaking Rule 10, therefore you can give him 5 or more short and rapid. You can also give him Yankee Golf, yeah? Now, when you're in the exam room, don't go like that to the examiner, but it might stick in your mind, alright? Yankee Golf, 5 or more short and rapid. If he does not immediately respond, pull your speed back, reduce your speed in ample time, and let him cross ahead. What you must now do is, when you get his name and number, report him to the Coast Guard. Question?
There are any other options by reducing the speed?
No, that's the answer.
But if a surveyor will put 2-3 vessels behind you, and that's anyone,
Alright?
You can't.
So you've got that situation.
Okay.
Alright, let's forget this for a minute. If you've got a reduced speed here, who is the giveaway vessel between you and him?
She.
Why?
She's overtaking me.
So look out for him, alright? Not your concern. If you have to reduce speed for this guy, he's got problems. He should not be up your ass, should he?
No.
Alright? So if you're coming back, he's soon going to start squeaky, yeah? And he'll soon get out the way for you. Don't bother about it. It's nothing to do with you, alright? He's the overtaking vessel. He's got to keep out of your way. He should not have got himself into that situation. The examiner is not giving you traffic astern. What you get on the table is you and the target. and you tackle what you are given. Don't be, if the Lord comes down and throws a flying fish down here, you know, and if there's a TRF, one target, one answer. Get on with what he's asking. Don't invent stuff. Just answer. Be professional. Just answer the question being asked. Everybody loud and clear? On this particular situation, the French trawler, set of bearings, ascertain risk of collision. If he's impeding you and he wants his nosing out of the central reservation, and if steady bearing, he is impeding you, then you can give him the 5 or more short and rapid and the Yankee Golf.
Because the question has been raised and Mr. Captain Harborn puts 2-3 vessel on a stunt, and he insists to a student that you can do anything else. He said everything, call masters and everything. He said no, you have to take some action. You cannot reduce your speed. He specifically said you cannot reduce your speed.
All right, let's look at the scenario. Let's put him right astern and let's give you that sort of scenario where you've got Captain Hardborn and he's playing silly devils with you. All right. Now, in this particular case, you should be aware that there is a vessel there, and if you reduce speed, the onus is on him. Having said all of that, once he noses out, you've given the 5 or more, you've given the Yankee Golf, he's still coming. Can you do anything else? The answer is yes, you can do a chart assessment and alter into a position outside the lane rather than reduce speed because of him. But your first answer is normally to reduce speed and let him resolve the problem. If he says he's not happy with it, is there anything else you can do? At a pinch, you could chart assessment and go out that way. You must not be going into the central area. It is not that sort of an emergency.
Is that why he's trying to push you towards to get you to do that?
You could very well do. Yeah. But of course, when you look at the full picture, if you've got anything up here, this guy's going to have kittens if you suddenly do this, isn't he? So, I mean, he's inventing stuff as he's going along, and he's being a bit naughty, really. And in this situation, in an emergency, it says you can go into the central reservation. I know the way you're talking, but the emergency is where you have an engine failure or loss of steering or something like that. You've got a personal emergency. I'm going to get in there and I'm going to anchor. And then I'm going to put my balls in the air and I'm going to report to the Coast Guard that I'm NUC while I sort my steering out. Yeah? And communications would be right if you went into the central reservation. All right? Now, that is a separate issue. In this particular case, you've got a collision scenario imminent. This is not an emergency. You should be able to handle each traffic scenario as you get it. The answer on this is initially reduce speed. If he doesn't like it, in that case I'd do a chart assessment, and if I was alright, I'd sound 1 short blast, alter course to starboard, and go outside the lane and give him a wide berth, if I had to. You've then got to ask yourself, why have you let this happen and it's got so close? You should have been long range scanning, you should have seen this before it happened, and turn around to the examiner, I'm sorry, Captain Hardborn, but I wouldn't let this situation happen on my ship because I've been to Fleetwood and I'm the best watch officer in the world. And see what he says to that, all right? He'll fail you, of course, but at the end of the day, it's worth the try. Right? Any other, yes, there was one more. On the TSS, the sailing vessel, remember when you last read Rule 10. I know it might be many years ago, but if it was, go back to it again tonight. In the same breath, they talk about vessels under 20 metres and sailing vessels, all right, in that subject. So sailing vessels and ships under, or small boats under 20 metres, the same rule applies. The answer for the trawler is exactly the same as for the 20 metres or under and the sailing vessel. Bearing steady, range closing, does not give you the right to kill him. He is causing an impediment. Bearing steady, range closing, and he's come out of the central reservation. What action would you take? In this case, 5 or more short and rapid. He's no idea what you've sent, all right? Blowing your hooter as far as he's concerned. Up goes Yankee Golf. Again, look at the pretty flags. No idea. Daddy's yacht merchant. the action by you, reduce your speed, let him pass ahead, and then get his name and number and report him to the Coast Guard. If you feel you are not clearing him because you've not been looking far enough ahead or you didn't see him, the answer for the less than 20 metres and centimetre is exactly the same as the trawler. If you had to and he's pressing you, could you do anything else? One short blast, alter course to starboard, with a chart assessment, go outside the lane and give him a wide berth and get back in the lane as soon as he's clear. Don't forget, when he's passed and clear, get his name and number and report him. Alright, TSS, that's it. Yes.
But it says not to impede the safe passage of a power driven vessel.
Yeah, well, that's what I was answering, surely. Are you confusing safe passage and passage? Yes or no? Is that the question? Identify it as the same one. Alright? Passage and safe passage, as far as you're concerned, is identity the same. Are you telling me you do not exercise a safe passage on your ship? Of course you do. If you're en route from A to B, you are making a passage. Now, when you execute it, it is engaged on a safe passage because you are a safe operator because you've been to Fleetwood. Yes? Alright? Passage and safe. It's a bit like cat and tiger. They're both pussy cats, but you don't get into bed with one. Alright? Yeah? Alright. Question? Anybody got anything? Yes?
Yeah. The same scenario on a starboard side. If they are crossing the starboard, action will be the same.
Over here?
Yeah.
What, with the trawler?
The trawler sailing and less
the
than
yacht.
20 meter.
Yeah, the answer's the same, exactly the same. Look at it this way. Let's take the TSS away. In open water, power-driven vessel meets trawler. Who's the giveaway vessel?
Power-driven.
Alright, clearly. Now, power gives way to sail, power gives way to fish. Yeah? And on that sort of basis, you've got the trawler, you are the giveaway vessel. Now, he sometimes asks this, he says, who is the giveaway vessel? You're in the TSS, he's crossing. Who's the giveaway vessel? You are, alright? He is directed not to impede your use in the TSS. But it does not say he is now the giveaway vessel. You are still the giveaway vessel. The fact that he's causing an impediment gives you the right to give him the 5 or more short and rapid and the Yankee Golf. Yeah? And say, behave yourself. You know I can't manoeuvre as well here. So he's told to behave himself with the Yankee Golf and the 5 or more short and rapid. If he's still coming, then again you can't kill him. Reduce your speed and let him pass and then get his name and number and report him. And the gendarme will fine him when he gets into Calais. Good afternoon. Take a seat. Don't forget to sign the book. Alright, as we go around. There's a book there for signing somewhere. Everybody sign the book? Everybody going to get me paid? Right, okay. Quite happy TSS. Everybody okay? Yeah. Construction on wires. Somebody was talking about wires. SWR, what's it stand for? No, steel wire rope. Just testing you, weren't you? What does EFSWR stand for? Extra flexible steel wire rope. How many wires in an extra flexible steel wire rope? 36 when I went to sea. The best business we've got in wires is your topping lifts for your derricks and your cranes and also your lifeboat falls. 6 by 36. You can put a life tag on it. The best wires we use are 6 by 36. What makes it an extra flexible wire above a steel wire rope?
It has in the middle it has a nylon, piece of nylon, right?
A heart! A heart! Yeah, we've all got a heart. And your flexible wires have a heart. What's it made of? What's it made of, the heart? Jute or hemp. A modern wire might have a nylon heart. And the idea with the nylon is that if any water gets on, it's a bit like your nylon shirt. It will shed the water. When the wire comes under tension, it will squeeze out the moisture and stop rusting occurring inside the wire. Don't forget the purpose of the heart with the jute or a hemp heart is to impregnate it with lubricants, sort of greases and oils. When the wire comes under tension, squeezes all the juices out and lubricates the wire. Yeah? Everybody happy with lubrication and flexibility? Okie doke. Anybody else got any queries before we hit the main? Yes?
Stern light 3 points on the port.
Right, okie dokie. Glad you mentioned that. Yeah, let's have a look and see. Typical example, examiner throws out a general sort of question, and he says, what's that? White light, single white light can be 4 things. Don't forget, it's likely in open water to be a stern light. Arc of visibility, the stern light in degrees. Take it. Really? 135 in points.
No. 12.
12 points of the compass. How many degrees in a point?
11 1/4.
Yeah, how many points in the compass?
32.
What's the liquid in the compass?
Bale.
Oh, modern seaman. Yes, all right. Old compass would have what? Alcohol and distilled water. All right, okay. Moving on. Single white light, likely to be a stern light, especially in open water. If you see it approaching coastlines, it could also be small vessel at anchor. Everybody okay? And if you are seeing it moving, then it's likely to be a small boat, or last but not least, could be also a survival craft. So 4 items. Stern light is favourite, small vessel at anchor, small boat, or survival craft. Everybody quite happy? That's it for the single white light. The favourite one is stern light, and he tells you 3 points on the bow. Action by you. Start. Well, that's a sharp end. That's a blunt end. All right. You're driving the tanker. You see that middle of the Atlantic, 3 points on your bow. What are you going to do?
Big canvas, series of canvas.
Good. All right. Bearing steady, range closing. White t-shirts. Bearing steady, range closing. What are you going to do? Is the correct answer. Realise what's going on here. If you're seeing the stern light, bearing steady, range closing, that is what is happening. Point of impact up here. Clearly, if he's doing 15 knots and you're doing 15 knots, if you alter towards the stern light, this is what is going to occur. And he's going to be long gone. So do not be thinking that you are sort of in that scenario, seeing his stern light, you got a port, 2 weeks later, he's still there. Yeah, whereas 15 degrees towards the stern light is the obvious answer. And you might need a bit more than 15, you might be going towards 20. Realise also, what you see is what you get. And in this particular case, what have you got in that one? Gentleman there that asked the question, what's that? No. This one here.
It's a sailing vessel seen from the stern.
Seen from the stern. What about this one? In the way of that. Say, ma'am.
That is a vessel not unencumbered, seen from stern.
Seen from the stern. That's it. All right. Now, where you've got it all in line, your first option here is NUC seen from the stern. Because it's showing a stern light, the NUC vessel is underway and making way. Whether you see NUC or a vessel under sail really doesn't make any difference. If you are still seeing the stern light, then in that condition, or whether it's in that condition, the scenario is exactly the same. Take a series of bearings on it, bearing steady, range closing, that is his course. NUC, vessel under sail, stern light of a power driven, that's what he's doing, alter towards the stern light. Do not lose sight of the fact he may change his aspect with you and throw it over here. Alright? In that particular case, bearing steady, range closing, confirms it is a stern light, then you would alter to port towards the stern light. More often than not, he throws it up on your starboard bow at around 3 or 4 points. What you're doing, and alter course to the stern light, whichever side it's on. Quite happy with that? Everybody quite happy?
So same scenario right ahead, sir.
High tide?
Right ahead, sir.
Right ahead?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, with that one, of course, you go and land in the back of it. And you fail the exam, don't you? All right? What would you do here, and what's the choice right ahead? It's a fair question. Which side would you prefer to keep clear? And the situation here is you'd alter course to starboard, and if you meet anything else, then you're able to alter
Okay,
again.
fine, sir.
Whereas if you went this way and you then meet this one over here as you overtake, you've got to come back a crossing ahead of him. So a better option here is you would be
Auto goes to
stop.
starboard. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
All quite happy?
Yep.
Any other queries before we leave it alone?
Yeah.
Right.
The way of one and the way of another, I've got a bit confused with.
Sorry,
The way of one and way of another.
They have own, they have another. RV.
Radar and the radar.
Radar plotting.
Oh, right. Now, you're talking about the OAW triangle? Yeah. Where you...
I used to get confused myself.
on screen, and your situation, and you get a blip. Quite happy with this? And you're then going to mark a series of 3, and you've got the track coming down here. You're then going to put your own motion on in reverse from where you start the actual plot, and then you're going to put your own speed on here, on your own way, and then you would join up that one there, and that would be the true course of your situation. For the record, what's the top one called?
O.
And what's the bottom one called?
W.
Own way represents that there. Okay? W-O-A. So your point here becomes your A period. If you work out the O-W, alright? O becomes before W. O way, put that in first, and then you're doing up the W to final point, and then it's here.
So how to take the aspects of other vessel?
Difference between the heading line of you and the heading line of the target. So what you're looking at here is that is the type of heading line, and in this particular case that would be your heading line. He would be something in the region, that's your angle there, and your aspect there would be
Green 45.
no, that's green, red 45. I'm not sure on that whether they call it red.
Green 45.
Aspect of his life. Yeah.
That's right.
Well, it's to do with his heading line and your heading line.
Aspect of the other.
Our vessels are due bearing from air vessels.
Yeah, when you get a report, a relative report, you report it as green 030 or red 030, but the aspect is the difference between the two heading lines, I think. I think I'll have to advise you to check that. I'm not absolutely 100% on that myself. I got the impression it was the heading lines. I'll tell you where you'll find it. In the Radar Observer's Handbook is the reference on that one. All right, Radar Observer's Handbook.
But what will be the light, sir?
Sorry?
The light of the another vessel, or light, or on which side the vessel
Well,
is
what
afar?
you would be seeing there is if that was the plot as it came across, and you've got the vessel there, you would be seeing the green light
yeah.
on his starboard side, because that is the way your plot is
So
going.
expect will be green, right?
Well, just hang fire. Where you are reporting on your ship, it would be reported as red 040. All right, because it's on your port side. Now, depends on whether it's a lookout reporting. Where we're talking about aspect, you're talking about the angle between the heading lines. Now, it would be better to check that out in the Radar Observer's Handbook to make sure that you're right. I'm not exactly sure on the definition on
Yes,
that.
sir. Okay.
All right, so check it out as Observer Handbook. Lookouts report that, or would report it as a relative target, and if that's your port side, that's your starboard side, you've got a target there, it would be red 40 or green 060, and how they report lights to the officer watch, slightly different sort of scenario. Yeah. Moving on. Any other queries?
Sir.
Yes.
Can you alter port for the vessel NUC ram sailing and fishing if you see on the port side on open season?
just happen to have that on the board, all right, because I was going to look at this one. And let's have a look at this. First off, what have we got and what's the day signal?
The vessel not under command. Oh, no, sorry.
Careful, slip of the tongue could cost you the exam, all right? Clearly restricted in ability to manoeuvre. Red, white, red, ball, diamond, ball. Everybody yes, yes?
Yes, sir.
And fog signal on him is what?
Long and too short.
No such thing as a long, all right? It's a prolonged. Don't be good, be very good. Let's be accurate with what we're saying. Stay professional. One prolonged blast followed by two short intervals, not more than
2 minutes.
Typical example, this one, is what is being seen in the North Sea. Now, there are precautions about this in the North Sea at the present time, and he does throw it up occasionally, and he does say you're in the North Sea, so we need to talk about this a little bit. In this particular case, ball, diamond, ball by day, and exactly the same procedure. The fact that he's restricted in ability to manoeuvre, you would take a series of compass bearings to ascertain risk of collision. Yeah? And on that sort of basis, that's the baby, and clearly you are seeing it starboard side open. Bearing steady, range closing. You've got a choice here, and the choice is to reduce your speed and let him pass ahead, which is not the best choice. The better choice would be to two short blasts and alter course to port and present green to green or red to red, perfect safety, go ahead. In this case, green to green and pass round his stern. There is now an exception for you. You need to be careful, because if he throws this out in the North Sea, this is a hydroacoustic vessel, and he's towing cables. Now, these cables are 3 to 4 miles long, yeah? Now, for you to be looking to sound two short blasts and alter course to port, you must emphasize that because there's acoustic cables being towed by this thing in the North Sea, I would give it a good, well clear berth and pass it at least 4 to 5 miles well astern. Just to ensure you do, they do have guard boats coming out. And if you're getting too close, they'll launch a fast rescue cataract and say, piss off basically, we don't want you here, you're too close, go further. So they will expect you to give him a wide berth. Now, you need to realise that the North Sea one is exceptional with this particular towing cable. Now, you need to be quite clear. If he puts it up and you ask him and you say, where is it? What sea is it in? What region is it in? And he would be impressed if you said, well, if we saw it in the North Sea, I would anticipate that he might be towing acoustic sort of cables. I want to give it a wide berth. I would still go to port, sounding two short blasts, and give him a good range clear of the stern. All right? So it's a straightforward answer. Anywhere you meet this, you would be looking to keep out of its way. All right? Everybody quite happy with the answer on that one? All right.
What is acoustic cables?
They're doing sounding from the cables at it's seismic survey. They're looking at sea bottom.
Seismic surveys.
Yeah, it's usually cable and wireless that are commissioning surveys to either putting a power cable down or communications cable, something like that. All right, everybody okay with this? All right. Now, there is a particular one that, as I say, you are bound to encounter, in my opinion. And the encountering is, of course, with this particular one. And you can get shown this right ahead, over here, or you can have it in a side elevation where his favourite position is sticking it up at 3 points. If you see 3 red lights in a vertical line on a vessel in front of you, the vessel is constrained by its draft, all right? Wherever you see 3 red lights, your first words out after you've done your bearings and everything else. And the answer is, I will avoid impeding his safe passage, all right? Now, you need to get that out. Now, initially, when he puts something like that up at you, he would expect to hit you with the day signal,
Cylinder.
black cylinder, where it can best be seen, yeah? Give him a full answer. Black cylinder, where it can best be seen, right into his eyes, yeah? And then he's going to hit you with fog signal.
One prolonged gloss followed by two short gloss at interval not exceeding 2 minutes.
Excellent. Everybody quite happy? Now, he has some peripheral questions about this. Where he turns round and puts you on a power-driven vessel, he turns round and says very often, who is the give-way vessel in this scenario? And you should be under no false illusions, all right? He is a power-driven vessel by definition. When two power-driven vessels are crossing, the one that has the other on its starboard side shall keep out of the way. He is the give-way vessel. All the rule is saying is that you are directed to avoid impeding him. It does not say you are now the give-way vessel. He is still the give-way vessel. As such, he may alter on you. Now this is what Rule 8F1, 8F2 and 8F3 is all about. I can recommend you tonight read 8F1, 2 and 3, not Playboy. Playboy is good, but 8F1, 2 and 3 is better, alright? Now you don't want any distractions. Get the book in front of you, quiet room. You don't want the wife there. You don't want somebody else's wife there. It's a situation. Concentrate. 8F1, 2 and 3. Everybody quite happy? In words of one syllable, Amung is turning around and saying, in your own words, tell me what 8F1, 2 and 3 is all about. 8F1, your obligations if you meet one of these. 8F2, his obligations if meeting you. 8F3, both your obligations when meeting each other, is in simpleton's words. Everybody quite happy? Take time out to have a read. All right? He wants to know in your own words what and is what here with this. Now, in this particular case, you would still do a series of compass bearings. And on this one, he's going to probably turn around and say, bearing steady, range closing. What action are you going to take? As soon as he says, bearing steady, range closing, you turn around and you would say,
I will avoid impeding her safe passage.
Zip. All right? Keep your mouth shut after you've said that. All right? Let the examiner work for his money. And he says, how will you avoid impeding his safe passage?
I'll reduce my speed in ample time.
Is the correct answer, and let him pass ahead. Everybody okay? Now, you start giving him any other silly answers like, oh, I'll go to starboard. And 2 weeks later, you both fall off the end of the world. All right? So, just give him the answers. I'll reduce my speed is wrong. I'll reduce my speed in ample time is right. And let him pass ahead. Good evening. All right, take a seat. Don't forget to sign the book. All right? Don't forget, gentlemen, if you're running up to orals, the seamanship examiner is on special offer this week only. All right? Only £32 instead of £35. All right? And don't forget, Christmas is coming, and you want a Christmas present with a ticket in your back pocket. The seamanship examiner will do it for you. All right? Hopefully. You have to read it, though, from time to time.
That wasn't a guarantee then.
Not a guarantee. I am not so foolish. All right? Okay, identify.
Arts vessel engaged in fishing, power vessel engaged in fishing, second starboard side.
Let me give you a clue. All right? What's that one?
Arts vessel engaged in power tube.
Ah, no sort of dolly birds for two in a bed in this business. All right, now, clearly, vessel engaged in pilotage duty. You are 8 miles from the pilot station. Don't stand there, laddie. Go and take a seat. I never eat students before 6 o'clock at night. Communications, Chief Officer, approaching a pilot station. What are you going to say to him? Hello.
I would ask him for the height of ladder above the water level, the side of the ladder that he wants, what sort of lee he requires, speed
How
of
will
the,
he know that?
Because he's been out there and he knows what sort of weather conditions he's working.
So why not ask him the weather and you provide your own Lee? All right. He's after the local weather forecast here. Now he wants to sort of know which direction the wind is at, so that when you come up, you can provide your ladder on the port side and come across the wind, and he's okay to bring his boat in the lee of your vessel. Now you must use the term, I will create a lee, and clearly you're rigging the ladder to generate a lee with regards so that he's going to get up safely. Bear in mind, you are down to check the pilot ladder, and you go down, the master says, go down and meet the pilots. Yeah? What are you there for? What's your main function?
I'll see it is at night it's properly illuminated.
Properly illuminated, yes? You've got a big light on it.
Heaving line is ready.
Heaving line is definitely there.
I'll check the pilot ladder if it's strong, try to secure to the resting point.
Right. Yeah.
Stanchions are rigged there.
Stanchions are rigged. Must mention stanchions and man ropes. Alright? Especially in the United States, no stanchions and man ropes, the pilot won't get on the ladder. Alright? And he'll say, no, go to anchor. We're not boarding you, you've got an unsafe ladder. So, stanchions and man ropes. Everybody happy with the term stanchions and man ropes?
Yes.
Man ropes,
Now,
man ropes.
right. Man ropes, what's in the end of a man rope? No, a man rope knot. Let's have a little look-see. And the ladder and the heaving line, this sort of thing. But your function is to make damn sure the ladder is secured properly, and it's good to mention things like round turn and 2.5 hitches on the ring bolts. Yeah. Now, when you secure the ring, don't forget this pilot is getting onto the ladder. Who secured the ladder? An AB. Yeah. Did his ticket at South Shields and has put slippy hitches on the ring bolts. The pilot gets on and he starts to climb and he's going the wrong way, yeah? And you think, hey, he's disappearing, yeah? And all of a sudden you're out one pilot. Now make damn sure your prime function is to check that that ladder is correctly rigged and secure. You don't want to lose a pilot. What's the best lifeboat for the pilot? He's in the water now.
Pilot vessel.
The pilot vessel, yeah. That comes up, lands the pilot on the ladder, and he should pull off and stand off while the pilot boards and gets on the deck. What sometimes happens, he lands the pilot, turns around, disappears over the horizon. The pilot's looking, where's my blinking rescue boat? And it's gone. So usually it's normal practice for the pilot boat to stay put. What's the day signal for a pilot boat? No, I said that. You
said it.
Oh dear, day signal for a pilot.
Oh, yeah, Virgie red white.
A Virgie! There's only two in the pack and it ain't one of them. Well, come on, what's the day signal?
Is that the word pilot vessel written on the boat?
It will have the word pilot written on the boat. What about that one? Alright, hotel flag. Now there's a big overlap with rule of the road with International Code of Signals. If you are aground, then a vessel aground may make an appropriate whistle signal. U or L. You are running into danger, or L, you should stop your vessel instantly. It could also be done by international code flags, of course. Don't forget you, off to the watches, international code flags for your signals is still on the agenda. What's this one? Tell him.
X-ray.
And single letter meaning? What the girlfriend said? Stop carrying out your intentions and watch for my signals. Yeah, think about it. All right? Hand on the leg job, isn't it? Moving on. Give me a distress signal. Too slow. Give me a distress signal. You're sunk. Rockets, reds, yellows. Hey, it's bonfire now. Be professional. Red stars. Give me another distress signal.
A fire and a drum of some sort.
Bucket of oil, burning tar. Yeah.
SOS.
SOS by any means. Add the. Give me another.
VHF, channel 16.
Yeah, but what are you going to say? Hello, hello, hello. When I went to see it was Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. All right. So let's hit the target. Give me another.
Red handheld flare.
Red handheld flare throwing stone. Bit yucky that for a cheap
Sounding
mate.
continuously on ship's whistle.
Continuous sounding of any fog signal apparatus. Give me another. Still not got the one the examiner's thinking about.
Blind smoke.
A volume of orange smoke. Give me another distress signal at the back. Now you're thinking, why me, aren't you? What's wrong with the rest of these guys? Not you, him. What flags?
Square flags.
Square flags, not round flags. What about diamond-shaped flags? Burgess. Which flags? Tell him which flags. November Charlie. Good. Give me another distress signal.
Square flag with a ball up or below, up or
Square flag having above or below it a ball, known as a distance signal. Still not giving me the one I'm thinking of.
transmission and EPIRB.
EPIRB, okay. Give me another one. Continuous sounding of any fog signal apparatus. Still not giving me the one I'm thinking of.
Lowering down.
Raising and lowering of the arms, yeah? Some idiot there waving on his ship. Don't so, hey, you know? Give him a wave, hey, I'll wave back. He's in distress, yeah? So realise where you're going, alright? Don't forget, where do you find your distress signals?
In the National Board of Signal.
You do indeed. Where else do you find them?
Annex 4 Colregs.
Annex 4, the Colregs. What should we be reading tonight? Annex 4 on the Colregs. Those of you who are a little bit slack on distress signals. Yes, I'm glad you said that, not me. Okay, let's move on and look at this particular one. Now, last week we talked a little bit about a certain scenario. Let's take that out of the way. 6 points abaft your beam. You're driving here. 6 points abaft your beam. What action will you take, Chief Officer?
Take a series of compass bearings, ascertain whether a risk of collision exists. If the bearings don't appreciably change, there is a risk of collision.
That's very nice. The bearing is opening, alright? The bearing is opening. So you're on next. What are you going to do? You're here, you're driving here, he's there, 6 points, and the bearing's opening.
Getting my course and speed.
Is the correct answer. Everybody okay?
Yes.
Now, one or two of you might be a little bit upset where the examiner turns round and you take the series of bearings and you suddenly say, bearing opening. You were expecting him to say, bearing steady, range closing. All of a sudden he says, bearing opening. Alright? So in other words, there's no risk of collision. Everybody okay? Bearing opening, no risk of collision. And this happens. The ship overtakes you because you stood on, maintained your course and speed. That ship is now 4 points on your bow, gets a change of orders and alters its course. He's now on to bearing steady, range closing. What action are you going to take? Is the wrong answer. What are you going to do? Same ship.
I take a series of compass bearings.
Bearing steady, range closing.
Water goes one short blast, water.
Wrong answer. Take it.
Sound two short blasts and of course support away from the danger.
Is the wrong answer. Now let's have a look at this one. He's looking at a scenario of an overtaking situation. Initially, your target was here and 6 points abaft the beam. And what he did, he overtook him. And then he altered his course. And he now has gone on to a bearing steady, range closing. Now, at this situation here, he is clearly the overtaking vessel. You are the stand-on vessel. Read the wording on the rule. No change of the bearing will make him into a crossing vessel. Alright? And he alters, he is still the overtaking vessel until he is past and clear. Past and clear means below the horizon, where you can no longer see it. So, recap. That is your overtaking situation. The bearing's opening, he overtakes you. Then gets a change of orders and alters course. Bearing is now steady, range closing. what is your obligation here? Your answer is, I will stand on and maintain my course and speed with extreme caution. He is still the giveaway vessel. Everybody okay? It's the same shit. If he then does that at you and closes him to under 3 miles, you should have man on the wheel, advise the master, engines on standby, and you're into a situation ready to give 5 or more short and rapid. If he gets to 2 miles, 5 or more short and rapid. If he does not respond immediately to your 5 or more short and rapid, 2 short blasts, alter course to port, away from the danger, and do a complete round turn away from it. Everybody quite happy? Now, he has to examine the overtaking rule. One of the questions we've just tackled is that one where you had the stern light. In this case, you are the overtaking vessel. He has different ways of examining the overtaking rule. In this case scenario, what you're looking at is he overtakes you and he remains the overtaking vessel until you can no longer see him. Alright? And he is classed as passed and clear. All the while you see him, he remains all the time the overtaking vessel. When he alters, he is still the overtaking vessel. You are still the stand-on vessel. When he brings it in and something behind you is starting to squeak, then 5 or more short and rapid, and if he does not immediately respond, boldly go where no man's gone before, away from the danger. Question?
So in this scenario, why don't you alter course to starboard, the giveaway vessel?
That has happened.
Stand-on vessel, yes, sir.
He's done that, and you alter course to starboard, and he still keeps coming round. You have what we call in the aviation industry a mid-air collision, all right? And you are on a mushroom cloud, all right? Why go over and have a look? Get the hell away from him. Show him your ass, all right? Have you got an ass?
Yes, sir.
You don't need to show me, but show him, all right? Okay? Away from the danger. Question?
So if the port side is not clear then?
Well, that's, I mean, this is an open ocean scenario. He's not going to say you're in a river here, all right? He's not got wheels on. He's not driving over the bridge, all right? It's an open water.
Overtaking from port side.
Well, but you're inventing stuff. He's not going to invent stuff on you. He's going to give you a legitimate open water scenario. Okay, so he's not going to, and there's a flying fish over here, you know. He's not, and if there's a TRS, and if there's a fishing boat dropping out of the sky. One target, one question, get on with it. All right? Don't use the word if. Leave it to Rudyard Kipling. If. All right? Don't forget, the cones point towards the black identified.
This is South Cardinal mark.
A south cardinal mark. And the light on it. Yep.
Press 1 long, quick every 15 seconds, very quick every 10.
Okay. And why has it got a long flash on it and the others haven't?
Not to get confusion with the...
To distinguish it from the other cardinals is what he's looking at. Yeah. And where you are into that scenario, what is it?
It's a new obstruction.
New danger. New danger. What's your terminology? Double cardinals, 2 east, 2 west, 2 north, 2 south. You've got yourself a new danger. They'll put double cardinals on it. Don't forget also the wreck marking buoy may very well appear on a new danger on top of the wreck. Yeah. They'll still have the double cardinals all round it. The scenario came, of course, from the Tricolour, where 2 other vessels ran aground on a capsized vessel. Where you have the double marks, don't forget where the blacks are top and bottom, the cones are apart, and as an aid to memory, realise everybody can get the south one. Yeah, everything's going south. Everybody gets the north one. What causes the difference is where you have the west or where you have the east. Yeah, join them up, and all of a sudden that becomes E, and this one, shaped like a wine glass, is it wine or women that turn you on? Wine or women is a westerly aid to memory. Have a good night, gentlemen. Pleasant dreams.